Hi everyone, welcome to WeTV. This is Chris and I'm very happy to see you today because of course today is I Can Make. And today I'm so excited because we're going to make something I really enjoy making, and that is that yummy looking thing. What is that? Well, of course, that is called a cupcake. A cupcake. Have you ever had a cupcake before? I think cupcakes are very yummy, and here in China, I find that they're a little hard to find. So I decided to make my own. And how do we make cupcakes? Well, I'm glad you asked. Let's take a look at our ingredients. First, you're going to need flour because cupcakes are pretty much just like normal cakes. You're going to use butter, eggs, chocolate powder, and chocolate powder we also call cocoa powder or just cocoa. We're going to use baking soda, and we're going to use sugar. Now we've got a lot of ingredients in our cake. We're going to use some vanilla, we're going to use some milk, and some salt. Now that's what we're going to use in the cake. We're also going to make a frosting, and what we're going to put in our frosting is instant coffee. Now that's because I want coffee flavored frosting. If you don't like coffee, then you might want to skip this one. Cream cheese and butter, because we're going to make what we call a butter frosting, and butter frosting is my favorite kind of frosting. We're also going to add vanilla and salt to the frosting as well. And we're going to use powdered sugar. That's what's going to make the frosting very sweet and very yummy. We're going to need some tools for today's recipe. We're going to use a cupcake tin, and we're also going to use an oven. Now, you don't have to use a cupcake tin. You could also use what we call baking cups. They're cups that you put the mixture in and bake them inside the cup. So it's your choice whether you want to go with a cupcake tin or baking cups. Today, I'm going to use baking cups. Let's go through our steps. First, we want to heat up our oven to 180 degrees centigrade. In a bowl, we're going to mix 2/3 a cup of butter and 1 2/3 cups of sugar until it's light and fluffy. So you want to make sure you start with butter that is already soft. Now, one good way is to just leave the butter out for a while. You might need to leave it out for an hour, maybe even 2 hours. And another way is to go ahead and put the butter in the microwave. You don't really want to melt it completely, but you want to make it so it's soft. Okay, it doesn't have to be liquid butter, it just needs to be soft butter. You can also use margarine, which usually is soft all the time. Then we're going to add 3 eggs, one at a time, and we're going to beat each egg very well. So we're going to keep mixing until it's completely mixed in, and then add the next egg and mix it completely, and then add the last egg. Okay? Then we're going to mix in 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And then in the second bowl, we're going to mix our dry ingredients together, which will be 2 cups of flour, 2/3 cup of chocolate powder, the cocoa, 1 1/4 teaspoon baking soda, and 1 teaspoon salt. And after we've mixed that very well, then we'll add the dry ingredients to the wet ingredients and mix it all together in a big bowl. Then we can add 1 1/3 cup of milk and mix that in very well. And then we're going to put it into our greased cake pan or into our cupcake liners or baking cups, as I said before. And we want to bake these for 15 to 20 minutes. And we know they're done when we can put a toothpick in and pull it out and the toothpick comes out clean. That's how you know your cake is done. Okay? Let's go through the steps for our frosting now. First, we want to mix together 30 grams of butter and 225 grams of cream cheese. The butter usually is marked with how many grams, so that should be easy. And the cream cheese, that's probably 1 package of cream cheese. If you have a little more, it's okay. And we want those to be soft, so leave them out for a while so they can be soft, or put them in the microwave and warm them up a little just to be soft, not to be liquid. Next, we're going to add 1 teaspoon of vanilla, 1/4 cup of cocoa, and 1 teaspoon of instant coffee, and mix that all in very well. And once those ingredients are mixed in, we can add 300 grams of powdered sugar. Okay? 300 grams of powdered sugar is a lot. And some people like to add even more, some people like to add a little less. If you don't want it to be too sweet, you can add less, and then you just need to add less of some of the other ingredients so it's not too liquidy. You're gonna have to play with it. Once you get it to the consistency you like, though, you're good to go. You can always add some extra starch or even a little bit of flour to thicken it up if you need to. So what do you think? Are you ready? Let's cook. All right, so I've got my butter. Let's add this into the bowl, and I softened it. Now we're going to add our sugar to that. It's a lot of sugar. And we want to mix this together until it's a light and fluffy mixture. It's going to take some time. Okay, and now we need to add our eggs. All right, 1 egg, let's mix that in. Now we need to mix together our dry ingredients, so let's get a second bowl for that. And we need 2/3 of a cup of cocoa powder. 1, 2. I think this happened the last time we made a cake. The bowl was too small. And Owen left it in that I said, the bowl's too small. Because he's like, everybody knows the bowl's too small, so it's good that you said the bowl is too small. We need 1 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. That is so little. Salt. Smells nice and chocolatey. That's a good thing. All right, let's add our dry ingredients to our wet ingredients. Now, obviously, at this stage, you can see it's very clumpy. It's not a good batter, but that's because we don't have enough wet ingredients. We still have to add our milk. But what I'm trying to do is get this as mixed as I can. All right, so 1 1/3 cup of milk. 1 1/3. So 1 cup of milk. And I'm going to start with that, and then once I mix this in, then I'll add more milk. Because then I'll know, do I need more than just 1/3 cup of milk? Look how quickly this milk is being absorbed into our batter. All right, we still want 1/3 cup of milk. Oops, I should not have done that. All right, let's hope we did not add too much milk. Okay, I'm going to heat up the oven, make sure that it's ready to go, and then I'm going to put the cake batter into the cups and then put the cups in the oven. So I'll be right back. All right, I have some baking cups. Put the baking cups here on our pan. And what I want to do is I don't want to fill the cups all the way. So let's put these in the oven for about 15 minutes and then we'll check on them, and hopefully within 20 minutes they'll be done. And while that's happening, we can make the frosting. So now we're going to make the frosting. I've got my butter ready. It's a little softer than I would like, but that's okay. So now I need to put in my cream cheese. Ooh, this cream cheese is a little hard. We might need to soften this too. Let's give it a try. And if it's too hard, then yeah, it's too hard. I can tell already. All right, let's soften this. So I've got my butter and cream cheese together, and you can see the butter is completely melted. It got a little too soft, but the cream cheese is good. So I'm going to start by mixing this together, and I want to be careful not to splash it all over the place. So I'm trying to smash up the cream cheese with my spoon here. You know, it's kind of fun that we're making cupcakes because the cake was one of the first I Can Makes that we did. So mostly mixed together, but it's not as smooth as I would like. I'm sure it'll be fine. And we need our vanilla and our cocoa. Oh, and the coffee. We only want a 1/4 cup of cocoa this time. It's a lot less cocoa than is in the cake. Sprinkle this around. Now, if you remember last time we made frosting, we melted chocolate and then put that into the mixture. And this time we're using powdered chocolate. I thought it would be good to try something different. And now I need 1 teaspoon of coffee. That is very little coffee. So you'll probably want to try your frosting and make sure it tastes the way you want once you think it's ready, because nothing worse than your frosting doesn't taste how you want it to. So yeah, you do get to taste it. All right, let's try and mix this stuff together. You know, I was saying one thing you could do before about not putting as much sugar. You could add more cocoa if you didn't want as much sugar, and that would taste less sweet. You know, cocoa powder, unsweetened, is a little bitter. I'm trying to be careful with this so I don't get my cocoa powder all over the place. Cocoa powder is a very fine powder, and it will fly everywhere if you're not careful. I'm going to use a little more than one of these packages of powdered sugar. And first thing I'm going to do is squeeze it around, try and make sure that you really need to be careful with powdered sugar because it's so easy for it to clump up, and then you have clumps in your frosting, and that's not fun. So I like to squeeze the bag to try and reduce clumps that are already in it. You really should use a sifter, and unfortunately I don't have a sifter, so I'm just going to take my chances. This is not all the sugar I'm using. This is just a start. All right, this is all of our first packet of sugar. I don't know, I'm going to try it and see if I really need to add all that extra sugar. I think frosting should be sweet, but it doesn't have to be super sweet. And this is going to be a coffee flavored frosting, so I'll be okay if it's only a little sweet. I really want a strong cocoa and coffee flavor. That's more important to me. Now, I forgot actually that I reduced the amount of sugar in this recipe already because it actually calls for about double the sugar, I think. Anyway, I'm happy with this amount of sugar. I actually like the flavor of the frosting already. I can taste the chocolate, I can taste the coffee. I'm very happy. So let's just make it a little sweeter. All right, so after a sampling of this frosting, we're happy with it. Now we just need to wait for the cupcakes to be done, and then we're going to frost some cupcakes. So now we just have to wait. Great, the cupcakes have come out of the oven, and we had to let them sit and cool because you don't want to frost hot cupcakes. If you frost the hot cupcakes, then the frosting will melt and it'll just be a mess. Now we need to take them out of the cups and get them ready to put the frosting on. And these cups just come right open. Of course, you can leave them in the cup. I just think it makes it much easier to eat them if they're not in the cups. And if you leave them in the cups, then you're just going to make it harder for somebody else to eat them. And after all, the whole reason to make them. Okay, let's put some frosting on these cupcakes. And you know what? I have a lot of frosting. Now, a lot of people like their frosting to be beautiful. Me, I just like my frosting to be delicious. So I just want to put a good daub of frosting on top of each of these. Okay, so I've got frosting on all of these, and they look cool, but you know what would make it look better? Maybe you want bigger ones. We have some bigger ones too. Putting candies on them makes them more colorful. They really don't need any more chocolate. These are very chocolatey. And I even have some white chocolate chips. And you could put anything you want on top of these. You could put nuts, sprinkles, whatever you think looks and tastes good is fine. Well, everyone, there you go. We have made some delicious, some gooey, some incredibly chocolatey, very, very moist, and oh so yummy cupcakes with an incredible, rich, tasty coffee chocolate frosting. Wow. I'm so happy. I can't wait to dig into these. So you know what that means. I gotta go. And I'll see you next time on WeTV. Goodbye, everyone.